thank all of you for coming to engage in the celebration of the retirement of two just terrific, remarkable individuals, Professor Warren Heyman and Coach Earl Davis. You know, there are times in the life of a university president where you wish you could be cloned, so you could actually be in two places at the same time. And tonight is one of those times for me. I certainly wish that I could be there in person with you this evening, while at the same time being where I am, speaking to a national group of educators. But I can't. But I did not want this moment to go by without my extending, on behalf of the entire Morgan State University family spread all over the globe, our great admiration and appreciation for Professor Heyman and for Coach Davis. First, Professor Warren Heyman, I have come to admire and respect you for over 35 years. This really started when I was admitted to Harvard as a doctoral student, and in going through the Gutman Library, we were told that everybody there should read the thesis that had been written by Dr. Warren Heyman. And, certainly, there were 5 black students in the entering doctoral class with me. And we raced through the library and grabbed your thesis and realized at that point what excellence actually meant, what excellence looked like. And so you established a standard there that enabled me to put in front of me and to say that it could be done. Well, fast forward. I was absolutely thrilled when I decided to come to Morgan several years later and found out that you were on our faculty. We had an opportunity, of course, to reconnect during my 11-year tenure here. And I'm very pleased that we had that time to overlap. Over those 11 years, I received so many emails from students that you have touched, students that you have mentored in a way that enabled them to produce a body of work that is second to none, to enable them to leave this institution and have amazing careers that are unfolding literally. And so for that, Professor Heyman, we thank you, and we are so appreciative of your commitment and dedication to Morgan State University during your remarkable career. To Coach Earl Davis, affectionately known as Coach D, you are a legend. And you created a legacy. You have given this institution everything that you could possibly give it. You never said no to any assignment. You had this unique and uncanny ability to connect with students wherever they were, and they listened to you. They were able to receive your sage wisdom and advice, even though sometimes you gave it to them in the most direct way, and it was always the right advice. I run into so many Morgan graduates all over the United States, and almost before they can say to me, President Wilson, good to meet you, how are you? They say, oh, and how is Coach D? That's almost the second or third sentence out of their mouth. They care about you. They understand that for many of them, they would not be where they are if you had not touched their lives. You know, I can talk about this with regard to the impact that you've had on just thousands of Morgan students, but I can also talk about your impact on my own son. My son, Neri, is a recent graduate of Morgan, and you actually provided him with some incredible advice along the way to keep him focused, to keep him with his eyes on the prize. And as a result of your being there and connecting with him and giving him words of encouragement and support, of course, he was able to come through this institution, finish in May, and is now employed with the Washington football team in their marketing department. And we're just so proud of how you have assisted him in the same way that you have assisted so many other Morgan students. And so in closing, a hearty congratulations to Dr. Heyman, a hearty congratulations to Coach Davis, two remarkable people, two amazing careers. Morgan, thanks you.
He has opened all the buildings and ready to go. A little bit of swimming, a little dancing, the fitness center, the church, the instructor are all him for there at 8 o'clock in the morning. Things that are needed, people that needed help, my help, he's there. At noon, meeting at the fitness, not the fitness level, and he meets with everybody as to what has to be done at that point. People have worked with them, to draw sorts, spill things. In the afternoon, he continues with his activities. He works with the students, unbelievable. He's worked with students, he's worked with the two of the presidents and their students, that he stays with them. He has also been there, the students who have a little trouble, whether it's money to get there, help to get activity, he is there for them all the time. Around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he's over to the gymnasium. He's teaching football. He's over in football. He's there, and he has been, again, he's been a partner, he's been a teacher, he's been a director, and he had the opportunity to teach or to have the football team. Then around 7 o'clock at night, he's back in the gym, and there he is, assistant of the recreation, where he works there and sees the students who come in and run the activity. Dancers there practicing, people are playing sport there. He is there. He's also in charge of the people who are working for Coach, who runs that program. And they're in there with the fitness center. Those leaders then are responsible, and Coach does that again, to make sure things are closed up and the building is enclosed while he lives. That's his day, and that's every day. Every day he's there. A lot has not seen Coach. He's worked as a water director. He takes pictures.
Have you ever been around people that you say, I want to be like him, and I want to be like him. That's how I feel about these two individuals. When I first came to Morgan back in 1973 as a little young freshman, I used to watch Coach D. I think back during that time, he might have still been playing. I don't know. In 73, were you still playing? Yeah. But he was a tremendous athlete. He looked good. He had all these big muscles. And I wanted to be like Coach D. I wanted to look like Coach D. And he's been an icon here at Morgan. He's done a lot of different things. But there are little less known facts about Coach D. He is probably one of few individuals who both played for Eddie Robinson at Grambling and Coach Banks here at Morgan. Am I correct? So let's give him a hand for that. The other thing that I want to say about Coach D is his ability to mentor. And Dr. Wilson talked about how Coach D has mentored his son, but there are numerous other students who have gone through Morgan that Coach D has mentored and really tried to shape their careers. He shaped my career in terms of education. I watched him, how he interacted with people. I watched how Coach D treats people. And that's very important. I lost my father several years ago, and Coach D was the first to call me. He said, hey, Dr. Peters, it's Coach D. Anything I can do to help you, to get you through your pain? He's a very sensitive guy. He's also, I would say, very predictable. As Dr. Rodenhauser said, he's, in terms of his routine, his daily routine, he's got a routine that works for him, and he works on that routine daily. Talk a little bit about Dr. Heyman. I met Dr. Heyman when he was the Assistant Dean of Education, and my first meeting with him, I had to get something signed for a proposal that I was writing, and he signed off on that proposal, and we were good friends ever since. But I've admired Dr. Heyman over the years for his intellect and just his spirit. He is 89 years old. I want you to give him a hand for that. He looks good. And we talk on the phone, and we talk about having a reasonable portion of health. And my father used to always talk about that. And we thank God for his reasonable portion of health, because he's been able to share his intellect with all of us here at Morgan over the years. So I want to first of all, thank God for these two individuals, and I want to wish them well in their careers after Morgan, and you will be greatly missed. Again, congratulations on retirement.
You've inspired us to greatness. We wish you a happy retirement. And as always, the way I do things, 3, 2, 1, I'm done.
Congratulations to my uncle, Warren Clark Heyman Sr., better known to me as Moose. Moose, congratulations from your Moose, me. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for always being an inspiration to our family. Thank you for always reminding me, without even knowing that you are, that you just start where you are and it's never too late for you to do your best. Thank you for always being a pillar in our community, in our family community, and in the Black community, in the Baltimore community.
I'm glad for this opportunity to share with two fine gentlemen this evening. It was my hope to be there with you, but as you know, I have been through some time with something called COVID, and it tried to take over, but I think I'm a little bit better and stronger than COVID. I see you clapping, but I don't hear you. Good. To Dr. Glenda Prime, who is the esteemed Dean of the School of Education and Urban Studies, Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for all of you in the school who decided it would be a good thing to salute and honor two fine gentlemen. And I could not agree with you more. I'm in a good position because I knew Warren Heyman when he was a basketball star at Coppin State College. And the amazing thing about Warren, and I could never quite understand it, was that he was an honor student and a full-time employee at the United States Post Office and a full-time husband and father, and he was a full-time student who had a good time. How do you do all of that? Warren was able to do it. And as I passed through the years as Dean of the School of Education and had the opportunity to work with Coach Earl Davis, I found out there was another person, somewhat like Warren, who could do almost anything. And that's the truth. Coach Davis could swing his keys to all of those doors that he was in and out of at Morgan, but he could also walk like a gentleman and act like a gentleman, and we owe honor to him. I would like to suggest, Dr. Prime and others, that somewhere in the near future, we would declare the richness that we have at the School of Education and Urban Studies by somehow creating Heyman Scholars and Davis Men.
Yeah.
I think we should think about making sure that the legacy that these two men have left us with would continue. There are some young men, Coach Earl Davis, who really don't know how to be good men because they have not seen any. We think that you still have the ability, and hopefully you will have the time, to establish a group, and you would add to that group annually the names and suggestions of men who want to become good men, but don't know how, and you can help them. Warren, I want us to think about somehow in the School of Education and Urban Studies, identify a group of men and women to be called the Heyman Scholars, because that's what you are. Warren told me when he was working on his doctorate while living in California and going to school all the way on the East Coast at Harvard, whenever he submitted any documentation for his work, he never submitted it in pencil because he thought if he sent it in pencil, that would give somebody the thought that maybe they could erase it or replace it. So he sent it typed, letting them know this is a document worth reading and worth reading as it is. So Warren, Heyman Scholars would be a good way to honor you and to create the legacy you so richly deserve. Davis Men, Coach Earl Davis, it would be a good thing to know that behind you, there will become some fathers, some uncles, some physical education majors, some teachers who will be able to demonstrate what it is to be a gentleman, what it is to be a man, because they saw it in you. So on this evening, those of you who've come out to honor these two men, we thank you for your presence. To those who have joined us by Zoom, we thank you for participating. But don't let these moments pass by without us taking the time to make sure the legacy of Warren and Coach will continue, because we will be able to identify Heyman scholars and Davis men. Thank you.
Guide me, we did a bunch of presentations together at national conferences. I just know I would never be where I am if it wasn't for Dr. Hammond. And I just really hope you know this from the bottom of my heart, that you have sculpted me and been my greatest support system that I've ever had.
This is Marco Cornegay. You know me, I know you do, but I just wanted to acknowledge your retirement and tell you how proud and how excited I am personally for you being able to reach that pinnacle of your career, because you have given so much to so many men and women, or young men and young women at the time. And of course, being a part of that, you know, I truly appreciate that interaction with you. And it started with us somewhere in the neighborhood of me being 5 years old, and then us reconnecting my freshman year after learning that we had crossed paths, you know, that part of my life. It was destined. God knew what he was doing for us, and God knew what he was doing for my life by using you as a vehicle to serve as a father figure for me, like you did for so many. I just want to tell you, I thank you, I love you, and I'm glad that you received, you're receiving this acknowledgement. You truly deserve that. Go ahead, Coach.
Hey, Coach Davis. Just like Marco said, this is Reggie Burgess. Marco said everything that needed to be said. When you look at what you did for me, Marco, and many others, men and women, it really is a testimony to the person that you are. Folks said that you can be great at everything. You can be a great cook, you can be a great driver, you can be a great poet, you can be a great at everything, but the Lord said that the one who's the greatest among us is the one who's a servant. And you were a servant. You served us so well that we kept our mind and kept our eyes on the prize. And that prize was to actually go out and be better men and women. And of course, we haven't finished that task yet, because we're still living. But, Coach, we had the role model, which was you. You were the template that said, hey, you can do it. I remember many, many nights, I was hungry, and being from South Carolina, that money wasn't coming in from my mother, and you provided meals. Many, many days, my father who raised me, he and I wouldn't see eye to eye on things, and I would call you from South Carolina and talk to you, and you gave me some uplift. So I know there's a lot of stories like that, but you know, my story is my story, and just like Marco said, same with him, we have that personal experience with you. Coach, you know, this is a wonderful thing to be able to say that you're retiring and you're being acknowledged in a positive way. And most importantly, Coach, at this end of this whole thing that we're talking about, you're going to get the due reward that you deserve, because the Lord says that, you know, faithful servants, you know, shall see him. So we thank you for all the service. We love you, and God bless you and your family.
Hello, Mr. Earl Davis. Jerika Duncan coming to you from the CBS morning set. My father told me that you are actually retiring, so I just wanted to wish you a happy retirement. I know that you were a well-respected and tough coach there at Morgan State for a very long time, and I hope you enjoy your time off, if you will, but I have a feeling you'll probably still be active in some way, shape, or fashion with Morgan State. And it was a pleasure. I don't know if you recall, we met maybe almost 10 years ago, but I'm so glad and honored that my dad asked me to say congratulations and all the things. God bless you and your family. Be well.
We have a very special feature in our program this afternoon. A request from Dr. Heyman for a specific song, and Miss Sherry Holt is here to present that song in your honor.
Great is thy faithfulness, no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changes not, thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever wilt be. Summer and winter and springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. He'll pardon your sins and peace that endureth, thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide, strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Blessings all mine with 10,000 beside. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, God's hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Oh, great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Every time I wake up in the morning, God's mercies I see. Oh, I have needed, God's hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, to me.
On behalf of the School of Education and Urban Studies, I want to make the formal tribute to both of these gentlemen who have given so much to Morgan State University and to the School of Education. We have some presentations that we would like to make at this time, and I do have a formal tribute to read. And I'm going to begin with the tribute to Coach D. Earl Davis, Coach Earl Davis, Coach D are some of the names by which this larger-than-life man is known on this campus. As I sat at my computer to write this tribute, I knew I could never capture in words who this man is, nor could I capture the full extent of his unmatched contribution to his alma mater. Morgan State University. Those who know him well and saw him in the many roles that he filled on campus will agree with some of the words and phrases that come to my mind when I think of Coach Davis. Unwaveringly loyal to both his biological and his Morgan family. Unswerving commitment. What else would bring him to the campus at 5 in the morning to open the fitness center every morning for 3 decades? Determined, raising funds independently to equip the fitness center when the university budget a long time ago could not support it. Generous to a fault, buying lunches for students, and you heard that from some of the tributes, students who needed it, and sometimes sharing his food with staff. No-nonsense disciplinarian, who on this campus has not been ordered to deliver 10 push-ups as punishment for a real or imagined misdemeanor. Maybe President Wilson, but I'm not sure even President Wilson wasn't asked for 10 push-ups. But that tough exterior and that sometimes gruff voice hid a gentle and caring heart. Earl Davis first came to Morgan as a student athlete and earned the baccalaureate degree in 1973. Later, while a graduate student, he was assigned to the School of Education and Urban Studies as a graduate assistant. Thus began his 46 years of employment at Morgan State University. Over that time, Morgan evolved into the first-rate doctoral research institution that it now is. And Earl was no mere spectator to that transformation. Rather, he made a sterling contribution to the institution's growth and development. In the many roles and capacities in which he served, his work was always exemplary. His service was never limited to the designation that he carried. Earl just served wherever and whenever he was needed. He was integrally involved in many firsts on campus. At the first media center, located in Benjamin Banneker Building, Earl was Morgan's photographer and videographer, often hauling equipment on a trolley to capture and record events around the campus. He oversaw the establishment of the first computer lab on campus. He was instrumental in establishing the first radio station on campus, located at that time in the Banneker Building. As facilities manager of the Banneker Building, Earl ensured that the building was safe and properly maintained. It was in his service in the area of athletics and physical fitness that Coach Davis has left an indelible legacy to Morgan State University. In 1991, when the Hurt Gymnasium was being renovated, Earl was at the time serving as coach to the football team. The newly renovated gymnasium was without equipment, and in collaboration with fellow coach Jesse Thomas, Earl wrote a proposal that resulted in a $200,000 donation, which was used to purchase equipment for the fitness center and gymnasium. For the next 3 decades, the supervision and management of the center and gymnasium were Earl's passion. I think it is fair to say that the centrality of athletics and physical fitness to the Morgan student experience was the result of Earl's dedication and commitment to the belief that physical fitness, no less than sound academics, was central to a well-rounded education. In 1996, the athletics director at the time, Garnet Purnell, had this to say of Earl's management of the center. He has instilled a renewed sense of structure and commitment, instilling pride and honor to Morgan athletes. Coach Davis, your legacy will never be lost. It lives on in the School of Education and Urban Studies. It lives on in the Banneker building you served with such dedication. It lives on in the Hurt Gymnasium, and particularly the fitness center. It lives on through your influence in the naming of the Hughes Stadium and the Earl C. Banks football field. But it lives most vibrantly in the lives of the many students who knew that beneath the tough exterior, the tough love you showed them, was the desire to nurture the best in them, and who now attribute their success in no small measure to the discipline you instilled in them. Thank you, Coach Davis. You epitomize the finest of the Morgan way. Morgan thanks you. The School of Education thanks you, and I thank you.
I want to say hello and thank you to Dr. Glenda Prime for allowing me to participate and to say a few words on behalf of the Morgan State University Board of Regents. My thanks and hello to Dr. Carolyn Anderson, and I understand Dr. Patricia Welch is there. And if she is, Dr. Welch, it's really, really good to have you participating. I don't know if you're on campus or not, but whenever I see you, I'm just warmed at thinking about how much you've committed, like Dr. Prime, to this school, to this education, to the university. And if I might, I'll just try to say a couple of words that perhaps have not been said about Dr. Warren Heyman and about Coach Earl Davis, both of whom I've known for a long, long time, and both of whom have been exemplary in terms of their duties and what they have brought to Morgan State University. Dr. Heyman obviously has been an educator's educator in many, many respects. I don't know if everything in the bio, the introductory information, has been read. If it has, I'll just be deliberately redundant and say that there is so much, Warren, that you ought to feel good about. Your accomplishments, both in the city, in the county, nationally, and with the United States government. We, meaning those of us at Morgan, look toward you because we never wanted to lose you. And then we are looking towards you now for direction in many respects as we go forward. I think it's been the simple eloquence of your example that has inspired a number of individuals on campus. And I know that, you began this career at Coppin. You went to Stanford, you got to Harvard, you did some stuff at Oxford, but at the end of the day, you're Morgan State University. That's how we claim you, and that's how we will always claim you. And we will always have a warm spot in our heart for what you've done, what you've meant, and as I said before, the simple eloquence of your example, which has inspired a lot of students and has inspired a lot of your colleagues on campus to always do more and to be more. And you've just been a shining star at the university, and I wanted to make sure I got on the board to be able to say some of that outside of the written record that Dr. Prime has been going through, just because it's important to be said and it's important for me to say it, and I would hope that it's important for you to hear it as a representative of our Board of Regents. And I'd also like to say a few words about Earl Davis. I'm smiling because Earl and I kind of cut our teeth together at Morgan, although Earl is older than me now. Graduated 5 years before. But Earl is almost like a brother in many respects. We remember the days way back when he was on campus as an administrative assistant, and some of us who were students like myself at the time had been petitioning the Federal Communications Commission to get a license to start a radio station, which was revolutionary to even be thought about in 1975. But we did that, and there was a lot of persistence involved. And Earl worked with us. Lo and behold, of course, we got the station license. We went on the air at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on January 10th, 1977, and WEAA has been operating ever since. But Earl remembers the days when we had one little antenna, which was always at the end of the campus. It sat in the field, and it had mud and puddles around it. And every other week, there'd be a storm, and the station would get knocked off of the air. But he was great. He stayed with us. We just maintained a friendship. And so when I saw him transition over to the athletic side of things, I knew that Earl would bring the same kind of commitment, the same kind of dedication that he did. You heard about the monies that he got in terms of his work with the late Delegate Howard P. Rawlings, and then of course the naming of the rooms at Soper Library. But it's really what Earl put into a lot of young students that makes me most proud of him, because you really can't measure that. Giving young people the belief in themselves, teaching them how to be competitive and how to get ready for a competitive world and to do the best they can and to win and to succeed. Earl, there are a lot of students who have said to me when they knew this was coming up, please tell him this, or please tell him that, or please tell him thank you. And they would if they were here. They really, really have benefited from your expertise and your love. And I know that's where your real love was, out there on the field, being named as the longest serving MEAC coach in history and doing all the things to help Morgan State University, particularly as it related to athletics. So I'm happy and honored, Dr. Prime, to be here just to say those words. You know, life is funny, and we all think we're going to live forever, and of course we don't. And oftentimes we regret the opportunities that we had to say more, to be more, or to do more, to extend an olive branch, or just to say hello and thank you most of all. So when I get an opportunity to say thank you, I don't flinch at it at all. And I want to particularly just again say thanks to two quality individuals who have made Morgan State University so proud over so many years, who will be missed, but trust me, their presence will still be around. And I hope that they will be around physically from time to time to come back and see us. It's a growing university. The best days are in front of us, but we remember from whence we have come. And we know that along that way, both Dr. Warren Heyman and Coach Earl Davis were a part of that trailblazing attitude that helped to move the university from where it was to where it is today. So my sincere thanks to all of you. I couldn't be there. We are voting this evening, hopefully, knock on wood, on the Build Back Better Act and the Infrastructure Act. But every time we say that, the vote gets moved over another day and another day. So I'm on standby here in the United States Capitol. Warren and Earl, you know I'd be there with you. I just can't get away. And 40 miles is 40 miles. So forgive me for being on this end of the telecast. But please accept my warmest, heartiest congratulations to both of you. Thank you, Dr. Prime.
Thank you. I'm holding it up so everyone can see. And then I'm going to read it. It says, the State of Maryland, Governor of the State of Maryland, to Earl Davis, Morgan State University, 45 years of outstanding service. Be it known, because of your demonstration of high integrity and ability, meriting our great trust and respect, we are most pleased to award you the Governor's citation in appreciation of your outstanding service to the citizens of this state. I would like you to lift that golden fabric there, that golden piece of veil. I would like you to lift it. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be affixed to the wall of the fitness center. It's going to be named the Coach Earl Davis Fitness Center. The third fitness center is dedicated to Coach Earl W. Davis with heartfelt gratitude for his dutiful and tireless dedication while mentoring countless students at Morgan State. Coach Davis's work as media specialist, gymnasium facilities manager, running back football coach, and instructional success coordinator in the Department of Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance for 47 years is unmatched. The building The building is currently under renovation, and that's why we haven't had it installed already. But we are going to have it in safekeeping, and once the renovations are complete, it's going to be fixed to the wall as a memorial of the dedication and work of this fine man.
All right.
Yes, I'm trying to make him cry.
Go ahead, Coach.
I think there's a picture that can go next to that.
First of all, I want to thank God for giving me the opportunity to be able to witness the situation and see so many people. You know,
It's all right.
yeah. Thank God just for giving me the opportunity. Two people that I definitely wish was here, my mom and my dad. You know, and because my mother knew how much, and my dad knew how much I love Morgan State University. Even though I was there at Grambling, and I had an opportunity to leave Grambling, and when I transferred from Grambling yesterday, I wanted to be close to my son. That's why I came this way. I have a little list put together to thank people. I'm going to run down it right quick. First, I want to thank Dean Prime for thinking enough for me. I remember when I got ready to retire, I told her that I would stick around for a while when she became dean to help her get things going in the right direction. She wrote me a nice letter, which meant so much, you know, because I don't ever want a whole lot of credit for anything, but she wanted me to understand that she appreciated what I've done, and that meant a lot, Dean Prime. When she said she wanted to do a retirement from when I first retired, I said I didn't really want anything. I just wanted to just leave, you know. But she said, "No, I have to do something for you." But I just want to say thank you. I want to thank Dr. David Wilson and his staff for their support. You know, planning committee. I know y'all put in a lot of hours to coordinate this and get together. I just want to say thank to you all. Coach Earl Banks. He's no longer with us, but you know, never would have got to Morgan State University if it for him. Gave him a phone call and I told him, I said, Coach, I want to transfer from Grambling. Eddie Robinson, winning coach in black college football. But I wanted to come be close to my son. My son was here. So I wanted to, he was a year old. I wanted to be close to him so I could, you know, have him grow up and be a young man. And I'm proud of him. Dr. Richard James, you'll probably know, he gave me the opportunity of my graduate assistantship when I graduated. Dr. Lionel Duncan, I served with him in the Media Center. Dr. Wiley Gill, I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve with you and to help you start some of the first telecommunications students that graduated from Morgan State University. A lot of people don't know that. They call it the School of Journalism right now, but I was with you when you first got it started. Dr. Harriet Trader, no longer with us, but she appointed me, as you probably know, director of the Media Center to run the Media Center. Jim Haynes, Dean Prime mentioned Title III program. He gave Dr. Lionel Duncan and I some money to start the first student computer lab on this campus. Mitchell McPherson, gentleman sitting right there. I walked into his McDonald's right over here in Northwood Shopping Center, and I heard that they was, had a program where they would give money to the university. I mean, I told them what I wanted to do. That was 2005. Over the years, y'all been to homecoming. I think donated like $435,000 to the university. Oh, yeah. Instead, because something that I talked about doing. I want to say thank you, Mr. McPherson. Dr. Joanne Rodenhausen, I could never ask for a better supervisor and direction of you. And I would never forget that you and Dr. Clara Adams decided to make me the first building manager on Morgan State University campus to take care of her gymnasium. And I remember what Ms. Hurst said, that my husband probably smiling in the grave right now, Coach, because you're in charge of her. Now, a lot of y'all probably don't realize this. The first building I entered when I came to Morgan State University was her gymnasium. Where the fitness center is located right now is where Coach Banks' office was. You remember that, Nick? Coach Jesse Thomas, that was my friend. He came by my office every day. He was sitting in my office. As Dean Prime said, we started the first fitness center on this campus. First got started off over in Hillfield House. We used to reach out into the community and bring people in. We had a little thing that they would sign, and so it wouldn't hold Morgan liable. And then we decided we would start something when they renovated Hurt to get a fitness center in there. I miss Coach Thomas. That was my man. His daughter told me one time, said, Coach, he said, my daddy had too many friends, but he said you was his friend. So that meant a lot. And I'm going to say this. When he passed away, Jeff Evans and I, gentleman standing right there, Jeff Evans and I went out to his house, spent about 3 hours with him. 2 weeks later, he passed away. You know, he died with Morgan State University sweatsuit on because that's how much he loved Morgan State. His wife would not let them move him out of the house until two of us got there. I miss you, Coach. Mr. Jeffrey Evans. You know when they say a brother from another mother? That gentleman and when I left Morgan, when I was coaching football, if I left to go somewhere on the weekend, I knew that when I came back, everything would be taken care of because academic to me came first. If you walk by my old office right now, if you look on a little thing and say, students are the most important people on this campus. That's what I really meant. That's why I teach students the way I treat them. I want to say thank you, Jeff, for your support. When I was working in the media center, we were there together.
Flattery will get you everywhere, boss. You have my love and respect and my family's love and respect forever and ever. And thank you.
Mr. Eddie Young, I wish he could be here with us today, but he hadn't got vaccinated. And Mr. Rowland, Mr. Eddie took care of that building. If you walked in there, I remember the president said to me one time, said, Coach, you know, I told the Board of Regents that Morgan's Hurt Gymnasium is the best kept building on this campus. To me, I said I didn't do it all by myself because the faculty and staff, you know, assisted me in helping do things together. I want to thank the maintenance department, police department. Last but not least, I want to say thanks to Dr. Margaret Austin. She allowed me to do something that I wanted to do. I talked to the president about it and gave him the idea after conversing with Jeff Evans. And I went to the president and said, well, that's okay. Then we wrote a letter to Dean Prime. We wanted to dedicate 110 in honor of Joanne Rodenhausen. I want to say thank to you, Dr. Austin, along with your sister, Dale. They came together with the ideas together, you understand, to get something. I'm almost speechless because that almost is like yours. I don't know.
Margaret did that too.
Thank you. I'd like to say to all my family, and one thing I always, when I end my speech, I hope that everybody can understand where I'm coming from to start doing it. I don't never leave none of my family, even some of my football players, that I always say I love you, because you never know when you have that last time to say it. Right. Step in here, Glenn. I want to acknowledge Glenn Moore. You know, they're one of my former football players, All-American here. He does a religious show twice a week? Twice a week he's on right now. And during the pandemic, we was on, Michelle can tell you, we was on every day, Mondays and Thursdays. And that's how he kept people together in terms of praying and had preachers, speakers coming on, you know, through the pandemic. I just want to say thank you, man. He's always supporting Morgan. I love you, man. Love you back. Yeah. And to all my family that's watching, my friends, I really appreciate y'all tuning in, you know, and I love all y'all. And I appreciate the support, you know, and God bless y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah, before I leave, before I end my conversation, this gentleman right here, this is one of my former students right here. That's what he do. He's a drum man. Matter of fact, Michelle just told me he's getting ready to give me a job. I need something to do. So he can let me work with him doing drums. You know? So I'll probably be about to shoot some pictures. And I also told Dean Prime, anytime she needs my service, I'm not gonna charge anything. She just called me because I like taking pictures. You have my service.
I have a plan for you.
Okay. I want to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you.
Dr. Warren C. Heyman's is a life that is dedicated to the pursuit of social justice through education. A career educator with 42 years of service, Dr. Heyman is nationally and internationally recognized for his commitment to the practice of education across the K-20 spectrum. A true son of Baltimore, Dr. Heyman was born in this Sandtown, Winchester area of the city and attended elementary and high school in that district. From his early years, he was drawn to a career in education and entered Coppin State University, where he earned a bachelor's degree in education. But before completing that degree, however, he left to join the Army. But after a short stint there, he recognized that he could not escape the call to be an educator and returned to Coppin State to complete his degree in education. Desiring to pursue an advanced degree, Dr. Heyman left Baltimore for Stanford University to pursue a graduate degree in education. The experienced teacher program at Stanford gave him the opportunity to do this. And although he did not know it at the time, the experience at Stanford ignited his flame for what would become Dr. Heyman's lifelong passion, the pursuit of equality of educational opportunity for African Americans. He earned a master's degree from Stanford in 1967 and accepted a position as principal of Bellhaven Elementary School in Palo Alto, while at the same time serving as Stanford University faculty resident. Driven by his commitment to community improvement, Dr. Heyman used his dual role as school principal and faculty liaison to forge connections between the university and the community. It was while at Stanford that Dr. Heyman's activism grew, mobilizing Black students to be involved in advocating for the Black community in Palo Alto, developing the Black Student Union at Stanford, and even forming a new regional college, Nairobi College, to meet the needs of African American students, of which Dr. Heyman became the board chair. In a 2019 project called Taking the Mic, an oral history project supported by Stanford University Archives, Dr. Heyman was recognized as one of the leading players in the history of the Black Student Union and was interviewed as part of an oral history project to document the pivotal role of the Black Student Union in race relations on the campus. As a true scholar / practitioner / activist, Dr. Heyman went on to earn the EDD from Harvard's Graduate School of Education. Upon his return to Baltimore, he served as Dean of Education at Coppin State University before coming to Morgan in 1981. At Morgan, Dr. Heyman served as Assistant Dean of the School of Education and Urban Studies. Upon his retirement from that position, he responded to the need for a program coordinator for the Urban Educational Leadership Program and accepted that role, where he served for the next 10 years. This is the role in which I worked alongside him for the past decade and came to admire and respect him, not only for the selfless service that he rendered, but for his wisdom and sound judgment. Dr. Heyman was employed to work part-time, but he worked full-time. He worked longer hours and more consistently than many of us who were on full-time. Although in that capacity, Dr. Heyman reported to me, I was never in any doubt about who had superior knowledge of Baltimore and the working of education systems, and I frequently sought his advice. I often say that in all of my time as his department chair and now as dean, I never once asked Dr. Heyman a question about education systems in the state or in the nation for that matter, to which he did not know the answer. Yet he was humble enough to recognize when something was outside of his area of expertise and made no pretense about knowing. I had the honor of collaborating with him in guiding dissertations for several students, many of whom are now in prominent positions as educational administrators. In those collaborations, Dr. Heyman yielded to me in my areas of strength and I to his. Our collaborations were mutually satisfying and our students benefited. When it came to administration and leadership, however, he was not reticent about telling me how to avoid the pitfalls and who and what to beware of. I was always the beneficiary of his wisdom and vast experience. Those of you who know Dr. Heyman well know there's a mischievous side to him. And so he would come into my office, and when he wanted to say something to me that he didn't want me to question, he would say it and then quickly run to the door. And he was gone with a smile on his face, but he said it. Dr. Heyman's wisdom and expertise was both due to and because of his service and accomplishments across the entire spectrum of public education. Elementary school principal, public school superintendent in California, education policy fellow in the United States Department of Education, dean of School of Education at Coppin State, and assistant dean at Morgan. As assistant dean, Dr. Heyman successfully chaired the Maryland State Department of Education accreditation evaluation. His service also includes that of school board vice president and PTA board member of the year in 2006, Oxford Roundtable participant in also 2006. At Morgan, his competence as an administrator was recognized, earning him the Morgan Administrator of the Year Award in 1984. And he was also one of 2 finalists in the search for the position of president of Morgan at that time. His service was recognized with numerous awards and honors. Distinguished Black Maryland Award. Distinguished Black Marylander Award. Rotary Club Service Above Self Award. Baltimore County NAACP Excellence in Education Award. Coppin State University Vision Award, and Coppin State University Athletic Hall of Fame, to name a few. Someone mentioned this evening about Dr. Heyman being a basketball player. Now, when I knew him, he wasn't a basketball player, but I'll tell you this. He had to pass my office every morning on the way to his. And when I saw him pass, if there was something I needed to say to him, by the time I got up and walked to the door, he would be down the hall. I would have to run to catch up with him. He was that fast. Dr. Heyman, we thank you for your service. We know that you're not done yet, and we know that you will continue to serve the cause of education, particularly the education of Black and underserved people. The School of Education and Urban Studies at Morgan is the poorer for your leaving, but be assured that your legacy will live on through the Urban Educational Leadership Program at Morgan, and through the many students whom you have sent on the path of achievement and influence in education. Some of those students I see here this evening. Those students include 9 university faculty, 4 public school superintendents, and 3 assistant superintendents. All have been students of Dr. Heyman, influenced and mentored by him. Now, in its 5th year, the State Cultural Competency Conference was the brainchild of Dr. Heyman. You have truly left an indelible mark on Morgan, on the city of Baltimore, on the state, and on the nation. May God bless you, Dr. Heyman. While I read this citation, the state of Maryland, Governor of the State of Maryland to Dr. Warren C. Heyman. Be it known, because of your demonstration of high integrity and ability, meriting our great trust and respect, we are most pleased to award you the Governor's citation in appreciation of your outstanding services to the citizens of this state. We also have the Morgan State University Outstanding Service Award presented to Dr. Warren C. Heyman, a distinguished lifelong educator for 26 years, for dedicated and committed service to Morgan State University and the School of Education and Urban Studies. And now I will hold this for you while you unveil that. Yes? Do you see what it says?
Can't read it.
So this is a brick this is a replica of a brick which we have had installed on the quadrangle at Morgan State, on the campus. So if it were daylight, I would invite you to go take a look at it now, but you will have to do so on your next visit to Morgan. But this brick says, Dr. Warren C. Heyman, 1981, 1984, 1997 to 2021 from School of Education and Urban Studies. So you're going to have to come back and I will walk you to the front of Holmes Hall where this has been installed on the ground.
Thank you very much.
And this is your replica to take with you. And you will have to thank you, Dr. Heyman. And we also have, this is also yours, School of Education and Urban Studies.
Guess it's time for me to say something.
Yes, it is time for you to say something.
First, I'd like to thank Dr. Prime and the committee for this celebration. It's certainly appreciated. She asked my family to stand, and I will also let you know who is here. My daughter and son-in-law, Julia and Daryl Hamilton, 2 of my 7 grandchildren, Lance Hamilton and Lindsay Hamilton. In thinking about what I should say, I'm reminded the futurist Alvin Toffler wrote a book called The Third Wave. If I were to describe my experiences at Morgan, I would entitle it The Fourth Wave. I eliminate the first wave, and I was so happy, Dr. Prime, when you moved the event from her gymnasium to this facility. I had my worst basketball experience in the gymnasium. Packed house, playing Howard University. I missed the layup. I passed the ball to the other team. And at halftime, Coach Hill said, Heyman, these guys are not as good as the guys you practice against. But the other 3 waves are a little different. But one interesting thing about them, I never applied for a position here. Never. I never interviewed. Like the formal interview process now, you have to make a presentation. I got a call from my friend brother, Dr. Joe Navarroche, saying Dr. Billingsley would like to meet with you. Me, I don't know. Bring your resume. The next thing I know, I'm vice president for student affairs. Dean Welch, family friend, one of my granddaughters and I were visiting her. She said, Warren, I need an assistant dean. You're it. Never applied. And then, as Dr. Prime pointed out, Dr. Prime, Dr. GK, and Dr. Welch called me in and said, we need a coordinator for urban educational leadership. I said, I'm retired. I can only work so many hours and make so much money if I come and work here. Well, my daughter was living. She is my guardian angel. She didn't want to see me come back as assistant dean, and she certainly didn't want to see me come back as coordinator. So I came back as coordinator and served at that for 10 to 12 years. As I remember being vice president, 3 things stick out. They came to me and said, we've got a problem. The auditors are coming, and we have all of these student athletes who are registered as in-state students, but they're not. So what are we going to do? I said, the plane is flying, the people are on it, you fix it. And evidently they fixed it. Also, I remember I created the Morgan 500, a race for the future. Sherry Hunt was a recipient of one of those scholarships. And then along with the student regent, we created I Love Morgan Day. And I think they still do that. As was mentioned, when I became assistant dean, the dean came and said, we have an evaluation visit from the Maryland State Department of Education, and you're chair of the evaluation committee. Knowledge is either knowing it or know where to find it. So I immediately went over to Coppin State University, the guru of evaluation visits. I met with her and she said, Warren, one of the things about Morgan is they never participate in any of the prep institutes that are offered right here in DC. I said, well, Shirley, what am I going to do? So she said, here's what you need to do, and we were successful. And then Elijah failed to mention, there's a great controversy now about critical race theory. You know, the white privileged people and the bigots are criticizing critical race theory. Well, nobody would chair her committee because they said she was too radical. And she was using critical race theory. I don't know how long ago that was, Elijah, but we didn't realize what we were creating at that particular time. And so I'm just blessed and highly favored to be here. Again, I thank everybody for this opportunity. And I saw all those people from my family. Some of you didn't get a chance to hear from. I hope I can get a copy of those clips, because I know they had something good to say about me, and you always want to cherish and keep those things. And finally, I want to introduce one other, a young lady that she says, I've been her advisor since she was 12 years old. I don't know how true that is, but I have to take her word for it. She's now a doctoral student in the Urban Education Leadership Program. So Monique was one of my students in the Hopkins Dunbar program. She's been a principal. She's now the director of equity for the State Department of Education in Delaware. And I recognize her, and I know this is not a good thing to do, but I do it because I know she's had some tremendous health problems here lately. But she struggled to get here, and I just wanted to thank you for coming, as I thank everybody. Thank you.
Well, I thank you all for being here this evening. It's been an opportunity for us to say thanks to two people to whom we can never repay, but we thank you both for your service, Coach D and Dr. Heyman. And I'm going to be in touch with both of you. Dean Wells says I should start a Davis Men and a Warren C. Heyman Scholars group, and we're going to give some thought to that. If that materializes, that's great, but we're going to have work for you anyway. This time, Dr. Heyman, you're not coming back part-time, you're coming back free. Thank you. I would like to say thanks to the staff of the School of Education and Urban Studies who put this program together, who will tirelessly. Michelle Kelly, Leslie, my admin assistant, Dr. Brisker. Thank you all for working to put this together. And now I would like to invite you to join us for dinner out in the atrium of this beautiful building. Thank you so much for being here.
Congratulations!
Congratulations, Mr. Heyman!
Congratulations!
Congratulations!